Welcome back to the channel. It's great to have you here, and I want to thank you for choosing to spend this time with me. Today, we are going to explore something that often stings at first, but if we look closer, may actually hold the power to transform our entire life. I'm talking about criticism. Let me ask you something. How do you react when someone points out your flaws? Do you feel defensive, ashamed, embarrassed, angry? Most of us do. We recall, we resist, we rationalize. But what if I told you that criticism, when seen with the right eyes, is not an attack but an invitation, not a judgment but a mirror, not a punishment but a gift? That's what we are diving into today. Because once you start to see criticism not as a threat, but as a teacher, your growth accelerates, your peace deepens, your resilience expands, and the very people who challenge you may turn out to be your greatest guides. Let's start with a story that will likely sound familiar. A young woman named Maya was always praised as a child. She was smart, polite, artistic. Her parents, teachers, and friends constantly told her how talented she was. So, when she entered her first job out of college and received her first critical performance review, she was crushed. Her manager pointed out her lack of communication clarity, her tendency to overcomplicate projects, and her emotional reactivity under pressure. Maya went home in tears. She questioned her worth. She called her best friend and vented about how unfair and harsh her boss was. But that night, something inside her shifted. She reread the review, slowly. She noticed something. The review wasn't cruel, it wasn't personal, it was specific, thoughtful, balanced with appreciation and constructive suggestions. The next day, she walked into her boss's office and said, "Thank you for your honesty. I want to grow." That moment marked the beginning of her real development, not just as an employee, but as a person. Years later, she became a manager herself, known for her ability to give feedback with compassion and receive it with grace. She said, "That review felt like rejection at the time, but it was actually my initiation into maturity." And that's the thing. Criticism, when delivered well, and even when it isn't, can become a catalyst for evolution. But we have to be willing to look past the tone and into the truth. We have to separate the message from the method. And we have to stop making every piece of feedback a reflection of our value. Because it's not. Criticism is not about your worth. It's about your potential. It's about the gap between where you are and where you could be. And every time someone is brave enough to name that gap, whether they do it kindly or clumsily, you are given a map. You don't have to take every path they suggest, but you'd be wise to at least glance at the terrain. For now, let's address the elephant in the room. Not all criticism is helpful. Some of it is toxic, some of it is petty, some of it is projection. So how do we know the difference? Start by asking, does this come from someone who has insight into the situation? Do they have experience, context, or a history of being fair? Is the feedback specific, actionable, and focused on behavior, not identity? Do I hear a thread of truth, even if I don't like the way it was delivered? If the answer is yes, take it in, reflect, adjust, grow. If the answer is no, release it. Don't let noise become your narrative. Not every opinion deserves a seat in your mind. And here's the beautiful part, even unfair criticism can teach you something. It can teach you about your triggers, your boundaries, your values. It can reveal the parts of you that still seek approval, still fear rejection, still equate being one with being unlovable. In that way, even a cruel vice can awaken a kinder, wiser version of yourself if you let it. There's a saying that the truth will set you free, but first, it will piss you off, and that's real. Growth is not always graceful. Sometimes it begins with the sting of seeing ourselves clearly, but once we move past the sting, we step into sovereignty. we reclaim the power to improve, not because we are flawed, but because we are committed to becoming more whole. Let's talk about relationships. One of the greatest gifts you can give someone you love is honest feedback, and one of the greatest gifts you can receive is the courage to hear it. But it takes trust, safety, skill, timing. Too many relationships rot in silence because people are too afraid to say what needs to be said, or they explode in blame because they never learned to speak from compassion. Imagine a marriage where both people feel free to say, "When you did this, it hurt me," or "I've noticed something you might not be aware of," or "Can I share something I've been observing?" Imagine friendships where truth isn't a threat but a form of devotion. Imagine teams where feedback isn't a performance review, it's a daily practice of mutual refinement. This is the world we are capable of building. A world where criticism isn't feared but welcomed, not because we enjoy pain, but because we value progress, not because we like being wrong, but because we know being right all the time is a trap. And here's another truth: the better you get at receiving feedback, the better you get at giving it. You learn to strip your ego from your words. You learn to focus on impact, not just intent. You learn to ask, how can I say this in a way that builds, not breaks? You become the kind of person others want to grow with, not because you flatter them, but because you help them see their own brilliance, even when it's still buried. Let's not forget, many of the world's most successful people credit a harsh moment of feedback as the turning point in their journey. The coach who yelled, the teacher who refused to lower the bar, the editor who tore apart a manuscript, the mentor who said, "You're better than this." They didn't fold, they didn't flee, they got better. And you can too. So next time someone criticizes you, pause, breathe, listen. You don't have to agree immediately. You don't have to defend yourself. Just receive, reflect, decide. And thank them, not always out loud, but in your heart. Because every piece of feedback is a chance to grow, to lead, to love more wisely, and to live more fully. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this conversation helped shift your perspective on criticism, and maybe even inspired you to welcome it with more courage and clarity. If you've ever received feedback that changed your life, or if you're learning how to give it better, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if this message resonated, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who's ready to grow. Because in this community, we don't fear feedback, we rise through it. Until next time, stay open, stay grounded, and remember, the sharpest words often carry the seeds of your softest transformation. Thank you for watching this video.